Hello everyone, this is General Hand Grenade. Welcome to my war room in Prince George, British Columbia. Well, it's another new year. It's the 2020s, the Roaring 20s. It doesn't seem like 100 years ago now since the Roaring 20s of the 1900s. Yeah, that was before my time. I'm not that old, but um, like in the 1900s, so you thought back to it, and that was your grandparents' generations, right? Or for me anyway. And I know a lot of you are younger than that, but I mean now it's 100 years ago, and holy crap, that's a long time. But anyway, I wanted to make this video. I haven't had a sit down face to face with you for a while. Normally when I do that, I use my laptop and I just make the video on that. But in this video, there's a bunch of things that I want to show you, and you'll see what I mean later. But I wanted to show you a bunch of things, so I'm actually making this with my camera, so I can turn it around and show you some things. Anyway, it's New Year's, right? Now, the last giveaway that I had, if you remember, Christmas giveaway that I had, it had to do with Richard from Combat Miniatures. So I gave away a coffee mug like this. So actually, Richard gave it away. I was just helping him out, and a set of 4 Japanese coasters. Right now, he had sent me more, but all 3 things, the coasters, the mug, and something else, he sent it at in different packages, right? And one of them got held up at the border for a god awful long time. I'm not sure what's going on with the United States Postal Service right now, but they seem to have problems getting things across the border. My last shipment there, they sent to Poland for some reason. Poland's not the west coast of Canada. Anyway, so I was going to do 2 giveaways. One was going to be with the mug and the coasters, and the other one is going to be for a set of coasters. And what else? What is it? What is it? And courtesy of Richard at Combat Miniatures, it's this wicked cool pint glass. Now, these things are no good whatsoever unless you have beer in them. Right? So, it's New Year's and it's also Saturday night, so don't mind if I do. Just give me a second here. I don't want to be pouring this all over my game table. Usually when we do these sit downs, we're in the living room, but not today. Today we're at the game table in the war room. There we go. You Americans might be thinking, oh, this is American beer, right? Budweiser. But this is actually Canadian Budweiser. It's not like American Budweiser where it's watered down with water. Canadian Budweiser has a lot more alcohol percentage in it. So, see? Now that looks way better, doesn't it? Nice job, Richard. Anyway, Happy New Year, everyone. I was telling you at that time too that Richard was making up something for me, and well, not just for me, but I'm the one that requested it, making it up for the community, and he's since put it on Facebook and on Shapeways and on his site, and that is I don't have one yet. I've ordered it. I've ordered a dozen of them, but it's the last piece of the puzzle that I need for my version 3 Global War 1936 to 1945 game. And it's seaplane bases. So if you want to see what they look like, just go on Combat Miniatures on Facebook, or check out Combat Miniatures if you want to order some. Their shop on Shapeways there. You can get he's got a dozen of them that you can get. I can't remember how much they are, but anyway. So I've ordered those, and I've ordered a bunch of things for my atom bomb, like some nuclear stuff and everything. And the last thing that I got from Shapeways was this little thing right here. Now it's hard to see, it's just tiny, but that's what I needed, something tiny, because in version 3 for minor ports, there's 105 or something like that of them on the board. And I thought, geez, there's no way I can put these ports on there, right? You've seen these ports on my board before. So these are going to be my major ports. That's why they're painted in blue. And these are going to be my minor ports, and that's painted in white. And what these are, basically what he did was he took He cut this round thing off, uh, this thing off, and so it's just the dock and the little house on there. You'll see it when version 3 comes out, and I've got it set up on my board. So now all I need is that seaplane base, and my game is all ready to go. As you know, I like to play with 3D printed stuff instead of markers, but there's nothing wrong with markers either. I mean, markers are good too, you know, like this is heavy water, but I've ordered um, some oil refineries, and I'm going to be using them as heavy water plants, right? So things like that, right? And get one that says nuclear reactor. Well, I'm getting some nuclear reactors, right? And atom bombs. Doug's sending me some atom bombs. Doug from Historical Board Gaming. Anyway, so that's the first contest. Now there's going to be another contest later in the video as well. Usually I only have one contest per video, but I haven't had many lately, and I've been meaning to give something out for quite a while now. And then this thing came in the mail just like 2 days ago. And speaking of this, hang on. I don't drink much anymore. Not since I'm down to one kidney now, but I sure do enjoy it when I do, because I used to drink quite a bit. Not that I was one of those people that was always drunk, just like every weekend. I have a cabin at the lake, right? What are you going to do when you're out there? You're going to drink a lot of beer, right? And I did, you know, so I don't make any apologies for it or anything. So I want to let you know about the things that are coming up this year. Some of the things, a little bit about what's going on in the community, but mostly what's going on with me and with my channel, and also with the game, the Global War game that's coming out. There's a few of them coming out this year, but 36 is going to be coming out hopefully in just a few weeks now. I'm hoping to get my map before you get yours, but you never know though, because it takes a long time to get to me. Like when Historical Board Gaming, or anybody for that matter in the States, ships something to me, it goes to Chicago first, and then it's got to cross the border to Toronto, and then I live about as far away from Toronto as you can get, right, up in northern British Columbia. So it takes about a week to get to me after it crosses the border, and it just depends on how long they hold it in customs. Anyway, hopefully get that soon. So I mentioned in one of my recent videos that we're going to have an event up here. You've seen Panzer King before from the Lion's Den, that really, really cool aluminum Global War table that he made. So we're going to have an event at the Lion's Den. And we don't know if there's going to be 1 or 2 tables. It depends on how many players we get. If there's going to be more than enough for 1 table, then we'll just pack up my table and all of my pieces and everything, and we'll take it up to his place, and we'll have 2 tables set up and playing. It wasn't really an event, like it's not a tournament per se, although there will be prizes and everything. But it's really just to get some of the members of the community together to play some games, right? So we haven't got people 100% confirmed, but the people that are leaning towards coming, people that we've spoke to, because it's mostly an invitational, right? Hilltop Pillbox is hopefully coming up. This is going to be spring break in Canada. It's the weekend of, let me see, March 21st to 23rd, so it's a Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And he's a school teacher, so hopefully he can make it up then. And of course, Rank Carcass. One of my big games wouldn't be the same without Rank Carcass, so hopefully he can make it. Although that doesn't fit in with his work schedule at this time. We'll see if that could change sometime between now and then. And also Joey from north of here. He's the one that schooled us last summer when we were playtesting version 3. He's the guy that invented the Canada War expansion set. So he's hopefully going to be here. Then there's me, and there's Panzer King. And we're not sure who else after that. Like, we're going to take a look at if all those guys are going to be here, if they're bringing in anybody with them, you know. and then we might put out a call to the community, and if that happens, it'll be soon because you're going to need to know soon, right? You have to make travel arrangements and stuff like that. But we don't expect many people to come to this because we're a long ways from nowhere. Like when you're traveling. Actually, I was talking to one of the guys. I told you about my buddy Robert Hatcher, colonel from the Army. There, former colonel. He wants to come up for that, but it is expensive because it's cheap to fly from wherever you are to Vancouver, but from Vancouver to Prince George, it's actually a pretty expensive flight because the planes are smaller, right? They only seat like 80, 90 people or something like that, and there's only two carriers that come up here, and so that's usually half the cost of my flying anywhere. Like if I'm going to Tulsa, half that money gets me to Vancouver, and the other half gets me a couple more flights to get to Tulsa or to Florida or wherever I'm going, right? Half the cost is from Prince George to Vancouver. So, flying to Vancouver and driving up it would be a difficult option unless you had lots of time. I mean, it's a beautiful drive. You see just about every terrain that you can possibly see. You start in one of the most beautiful cities in the world. You go through the most fertile valley in North America. Then you go through the coastal mountains. Then you get into this, like, it's tumbleweeds rolling around, like it's actual desert, right? And wine country. And then you turn north and you go through ranch land, like big ranch land, huge ranches, right? And following the Gold Rush Trail up towards Quesnel. And then you get into the northern forest eventually, where I live. And I'm like just barely into the forest. I'm only like 2-3 hours into it, right? For driving. But anyway, it's a full day of driving, right? So that's not really much of an option if you're coming for the weekend, right? But anyway, if we do, we'll hold a couple of spots open. We'll put that out, and if you're interested, then contact me. But beware though, we're only looking for serious players, okay? We don't want people coming here that, I really want to learn how to play the game, like we love everybody, and we're happy to teach people the game. But for one weekend, we just want to stop teaching, right? We want to just play the game. We want to have people come up and know what they're doing and play the game. And so if you're a good player, if you've been playing for a year or two, or I don't know, however long you've been playing Global War, then and you're interested and you have a couple dollars burning a hole in your pocket, then for sure, contact me, leave a comment in the comment section down below this video. Say you're interested, and then we'll maybe talk about that, see what we can do. But like I said, I think just about everybody that comes here will get a prize, and not big fabulous, like we're not giving away cars or anything, right? It's more like expansion sets or something, something cool. Anyway, I think Panzer King, he's making trophies too. Anyway, so that's that. And then just 2 weeks after that, down in Tulsa, there's the Maneuvers 2020 Game Convention. Doug's trying to get me to come down for that, but like that's right after my event there, and like I don't know if I can afford it or not, if I can afford to go down. It's just the weekend. It's a weekend from April 3rd to 5th in Tulsa. So that's a game convention. Like it's not just historical board gaming. Like they're just a part of that convention, right? There's going to be all kinds of games and everything there. But as far as the historical board gaming, they're going to have all kinds of games. Like there's going to be the Global War 36 and 14 and 225 Meltdown, and probably the Cold War, whether it's 65. I think actually probably 85 is going to be being played, because Admiral Seabass is the guy that's doing that game, and he's going to be there for sure. I know that he's confirmed to go. I haven't confirmed yet. I'm leaning towards it though, so I might be there. So if I'm going to be there, then I expect you there, Mark Anderson. I'm looking at you. You're already in Oklahoma. Anyway, if you can, try to get to Tulsa. That's right in the middle of the United States. So, if you're anywhere but on the coast, then you're pretty close, right? So what else we got here? So yeah, V3 is coming out soon, version 3 of Global War. And you can see on Historical Board Gaming's website that he's putting out tons of units and things like that. Really cheap on the 3D printed stuff. Unlike when he was going through Shapeways, he's still got a shop on Shapeways, but it's much more expensive for that stuff. Plus, it's not as good a quality either. Like I buy a lot of pieces, right, and they're brittle and they're easily breakable. Those pieces that I showed you earlier, those not much of a chance to break them because of um, they're kind of solid, like there's nothing sticking out of them, right? But then you look at a piece like this here. This is a World War I bomber that I got off of Shapeways. This is one of Doug's on Shapeways, right? This is the French one. Anyway, so I broke one or two of these, and they're pretty expensive, like $8-9. And for me, that's a lot of money because I have Canadian dollars and they charge in American dollars, right? Whereas I got Doug sent me a bunch of his new 3D printed stuff. He's got a local person in Tulsa, excuse me, that does 3D printing for him, and so those are the pieces that you're seeing on his site right now. You usually get 5 for $8.95 or something like that. So these are not on his site right now, but this is a bomber much like this one. Actually, I have one of these that I bought off of him too from Shapeways, but these ones are really thin and brittle. These are more like plastic, and it looks really wet and everything. That's because I painted it earlier today. I've got a bunch of pieces there that I painted earlier today. But anyway, the stuff that he's putting out now, the 3D printed stuff, is a lot cheaper and it's a lot more durable as well. It's more like pliable plastic, right? It's not so brittle, like not so hard and breakable, right? Um, uh, but yet it holds paint really well. Like it's not the soft kind of plastic that you sometimes buy custom infantry, like Airfix. Those custom infantry, the paint doesn't stick to them very well because the plastic is too soft. That's not what I mean by pliable. Like the plastic is not that soft, right? But it feels more like plastic than the stuff that you get from some kind of filament or something like that they 3D print at Shapeways with, right? Um, so that's coming out soon. And you probably had a chance to look at the rules. Most of the people who are really interested have taken a look at the rules and they've given their input and everything. I know I was really interested and I was involved the whole time. But there's been a flurry of action over the last couple months there since well, at some point in there he did put those rules up, but even before that, like finalizing the rules, they changed a lot in the last 2 months, and I can tell you that the rule set is much better than the old rule set, the version 2. It's hard for me to play version 2 now because I knew the version 3 rules and I knew how much better they were, and so playing version 2 I just felt so constricted. But it's not just like a lot of the territories are different in version 3, right? There's a few more territories that are added, like Greece is 4 territories instead of 3. Brazil is 4 territories now instead of 3. I think Norway's 3 instead of 2. Just for an example, right? And also a lot of territories have had their names changed, like Tehran on the version 2 board. That's not a city, so it's just a territory, so they took the name Tehran off. I think it's northern Iran now. They didn't want any city names on territories that weren't city territories, like actual city territories, the one with the circle or a semicircle around them if they were on the coast, right? So the maps are different, and so that means that the expansion sets were going to be outdated, right? They must have what, like 40 expansion sets or something, 30 or 40, somewhere around there. A lot of the information would be wrong on them, right? You place units here or do this or whatever. So that work has been going on as well. There's 2 guys going through that. The one guy is going through and just doing the simple stuff like changing the names, changing the rules to follow the rules from version 3. Like now you don't do this, you do this, right? The ports and everything are different, so you couldn't just put them at a naval base. You had to put them at a shipyard, kind of thing, right? And so those kind of things. So he's doing that, and then the other guy, he's looking at, well, how can we make this better? Because these expansion sets, some of them have been out for years now, and they've been played for years, and some of them, like after you figure out how, they seem like a good idea, but maybe the idea wasn't fully realized. You know what I mean? One that comes to mind is the Alaskan Warrior set. It costs you 28 IPP to build a bridge over to Russia so the Americans can lend lease money to Russia. Russia's not on America's side. If Russia wins, America loses. And America only gets $6 a turn. So they're going to spend 28 to build a bridge to Russia. You know, that doesn't seem plausible, right? And so consequently, I don't think anybody ever plays that one. And for me, like I was excited when I first seen it, right? Because that where that starts is really close to where I live. The Alaska Highway was one of the great feats of engineering, human engineering, building that through the muskeg and everything in northern Canada and into Alaska, right? Building a fixed link to link up Alaska with the lower 48. And so, like it could have been really good, but, like you have an idea and you put it down and everything, and then maybe it gets put out and it wasn't ready like that. Like it maybe hadn't been played enough. I don't know. I don't know the story behind that one. But anyway, all of those expansion sets are they're going through the oil wars, going through and changing some things on that. And there was German operations. I did a video on that recently, just in the last couple months, and it looks like a really good set. And but I was lamenting at the end of the video, it's not really fair to everybody else that these guys got this advantage and nobody else has it, right? Well, I've since seen like that was one of Robert's sets, and I've since seen him. He's sending me his stuff now, so I can look at it and ask questions, like I have been with the East versus West. So there's a Russia operations, Japanese operations, and then a Western operations. And that includes like all of the Western allies, right? So you might pull a token out. It might be something to do with the French, or might be something to do with the UK or with the Americans or whatever. Anyway, so we're looking at that sometime this year, hopefully in the first half of the year. All of those will be out. And he's got some other things that he's been showing me too that look really interesting as well. So the expansion sets, they are being revamped. The rules will be put out again. For the most part, I don't think you're going to need to buy anything else. Like you've already got the pieces if you have that expansion set. But you'll just have to look at the new rules. Some of them maybe they don't even change. I don't know. Like some of them they might not need a rule change. Thinking about maybe. The Africa Corps, like I don't think that would have to change. Maybe, I don't know, maybe there's a territory on there or something that needs to change. Anyway, those are coming out. Then there's other games coming out this year. The 225 Meltdown. So that's a game in the future, right? And I played that when I was in Tulsa last April when we were playtesting. We playtested a few games, and that was one of them. It was a fun game. And it's a game that you can play in just a couple of hours, not like 36 where it takes us 3 days to play, right? It was actually a really fun game. You're dropping nukes and everything, and I'm not sure, but that might be an all-in-one game where you get the pieces with it. I'm not sure about that though, so don't quote me on that. It could be you just get the board and you got to buy the pieces too. I'm not sure, but we'll see when it comes out. I don't think the last time I actually had a conversation about that they knew at that point what they were going to do. They had it out, or they're putting it out on a pre-order. So I'm going to pre-order when it's there. And I think it depends on how many pre-orders they get how they put it out like that, right? And 1914, that's supposed to come out in the fall of this year, and that's going to be a good game. And you might have noticed that there's a lot of work being done on that right now. A lot of pieces being put out on Historical Board Gaming's website, like a lot of World War One pieces. I mean, a lot of tanks and like I showed you that bomber there. There's a lot of those kinds of things that are coming out now. One of the things that we've been talking about, and it seems like a good idea to me, but we'll see. Like you never know until the actual product actually comes out, because you have an idea and you got to test it, right? You have to test it a bunch and to make sure that it works. But to me, it seems like a good idea though, is rather than starting in 1914 when the war starts, start before that. Kind of like the World War II version starts in 1936 rather than 1939 when the war started, right? What that does for the 36 game and why it kicks ass on the Global 40 from Axis and Allies is that you don't have a starting point. Like this guy must move here and this guy must move there and this guy must go over here. You know, like it's all scripted in Axis and Allies. It's not like that in 36 because every game the war starts off differently, because you've got 3 years to like 5 or 6 turns to move your pieces around and to buy things, and so no 2 games are going to start the same, right? There might be general principles that are the same, but no 2 games are ever going to start the same that way. And so 1914, they're looking at doing that same thing, starting a year or 2 before the Great War starts, so that it does have the same effect, that war doesn't start with the pieces in exactly the same places every single time, to start the war off with. So we'll see if that happens, if that comes to fruition. I'm not sure if it will or not. Anyway, I'm going to show you some of the pieces, some of the 3D printed pieces that have come out. So a lot of them are on the website already, and some of them are not on the website. So this might be your first look at some of those pieces. I'm just going to pause it for a second and I'll get them ready. Okay, so here's some of the units now that are out in 3D printed. Not this one. This is one I showed you earlier. That's that plane, right? The bomber. So let's start in the back here. World War One. There's the Paris gun. This was a gun. I believe it moves on the railway, and you fire it from adjacent. You fire it into a city. Now that was one that I got, and it was expensive. I bought it at Shapeways, right? So now you can get it for a lot cheaper, and it comes in this blue plastic that I was telling you about. It's not as breakable as that other one that I have there, but yet it looks exactly the same, right? So anyway, that's why they're coming cheaper now. So there's that, and then there's also the French railway gun. And you see I painted it and weathered it and everything. So this is a French piece. The Paris gun is a German piece, and the railway gun here, that's a French piece. This was also World War One. This was the first modern tank, but this is actually was built after World War One, like just after World War One. So I'm using these for my here. Let me show you the back of it. It's got the little teardrop thing at the back. I'm using these for my light tanks for the French in World War II, because I think they were still around by then, right? And there's no other light tanks for the French. And speaking of French tanks, this one you haven't been able to buy for a long time. This is the ARL 44. This is a heavy tank from World War II. So you can get these now. These are really, really nice sculpt. Look at the size of that barrel. It just goes on forever, right? So that's the French heavy tank, right? And this one here, this is maybe my favorite sculpt of all time for like mini for this game. This is the A39 Tortoise. This was a British tank. The turret did not move on this thing. I actually they had a video on their site that you could that was linked to on YouTube, and it was really interesting. This thing, it was just a beast, right? Like they didn't know if it would actually work or not. They built 3 of them, but it never actually left the island because they weren't sure if they could drive it onto a bridge without collapsing the bridge. I guess it was just huge. So this is another heavy tank. Now I don't know, like this is, I bought this one a long time ago, right? This is the Caro Armato. What is it? P39. It's or P40. It's a Italian heavy tank. Now it's a bit smaller, and I was kind of disappointed when I got it because it was smaller than the out of box Italian tank. And I just figured, like, like a heavy tank should probably be bigger, than a medium tank. But I don't know with him putting them out again now that I don't know if it's a different size or not, or if this is the same size as it was before. One thing that I was happy to see and that I am going to order, and that's this. This is a Leander Lake Cruiser. He's got these for sale on his site right now. You haven't been able to buy these for a long time. I was able to get 2 when they were in stock, and both at different times. Like I'd always check, and there's one, and I'd grab it, right. So I managed to get 2 of them over the last couple of years. Anyway, you can buy 5 of those at a time now, right? And this one has been in and out of stock, but it's been gone for a long time. This is the project. Was it 1047? Got it written down here. It's a Netherlands project 1047. This is a battle cruiser. So when you play with like it changes the rules, you switch the cruiser with the battle cruiser. With this one, you take the Netherlands cruiser off and you put that on. Now this is one that has not been put out. I hope he does put this out sometime. This is a 3D printed piece that he sent me. This is a stormtrooper. You see he's got a gas mask on. He's got a potato masher in one hand and his rifle in the other. Really, really cool infantry sculpt. Like one of the nicest infantry sculpts I've ever seen. Anyway, he's a stormtrooper. So that's some of them, but that one's not available. That would be a World War I piece, right? Okay, so here's some of the things that you have seen recently. There is the Elephant. That's I believe it's a heavy tank destroyer. Could just be a regular one, but I think it's a heavy tank destroyer. And this one here, that's the Jagd Panther. Oh, that's a tank destroyer, right? This was actually, I can't remember what it was. I think it was actually a personnel carrier, and it got a big gun on it, whatever. So this is the V2 rocket. These he's selling right now as well. I just painted these, so they're not finished yet. They're still a bit tacky. All of these pieces that you see here, they're a bit tacky. There is the train. So you can buy, I think you get 5 of these. Most of these pieces that you see here, you get 5 for $8.95, right? So that's an armored train. Before, all they had was just a token, or I mean a marker, right, that said armored train. Now they've got a 3D printed piece. Here's the V1 rocket. So that one was, it looks a lot different than the V2, doesn't it? But these are like these are the blue 3D printed ones that you've seen. I already showed you the bomber. This is a weather balloon. I don't think these are out yet either. He's already got the little part, the little indent in there for putting it on a stand, like a flight stand. So those are observation balloons that they'll be in World War I. I think what they'll do is they'll make your artillery +1 if you have one of those in the site, right? Here is World War I heavy artillery. So these aren't available yet either. He sent me a whole bunch of these though, because I'm playtesting the 1914 game. So the last time I playtested, there wasn't heavy armor in it. So I'm gonna paint up all my stuff now and get back into 1914. This is World War II, so this is Japanese. I think this is going to be an attack transport. You see there's a bunch of stuff on that thing, right? Here, let me just see if I can get it. There we go. So this was a transport. You see the slope back on it there. it's a landing transport. So you could drive tanks off the back and things like that, right? You could put one of those mini submarines in this thing. They're for unloading equipment and things like that. So with the attack transports, on the with the regular transports in the old version 2 rules, and in the version 3 rules, I guess, you can only get your infantry off the boat on the first round of combat, right? But if you have an attack transport, then you can put all of your units off. So you can put your tanks and your artillery and everything. You can drive it all off an attack transport in version 3, but that's something that you have to develop, right? That's a technology that you would have to develop. Anyway, let me just move these out of the way. One thing I didn't show you here, that's this thing here. So I noticed he's sold out of these already. I don't know if he's getting more in or if he's waiting till they're plastic, but this is the Malta carrier. What he did was he made that a little bit larger. Here, let me show you the American carrier there right next to it. So that's the American carrier. Now, the Malta originally was the same size as the American one, but he's making mold, right, for making plastic pieces, and then those pieces will be made in all the different colors, right, kind of like this one here, right? But this will be the heavy carrier. So you see it's a little bit bigger. I got a whole bunch of these 3D printed ones, so I've just painted them up. I'm probably not going to need the plastic ones, right? But yeah, like I've got these for all the nations that I didn't already have a heavy carrier for. So I just put 3 magnets in the bottom. That's what a heavy carrier does. It carries 3 planes instead of 2, right? So that's that one thing that I forgot to show you. So this other stuff here, I left it in bags because otherwise I would never know what that was. A lot of these things are Cold War era stuff. So this is the USS Tarawa. You know, you could see that they're a little more modern, right? They got more communication equipment on them and stuff. So this one is not available yet, I've noticed. I was looking on the site before I started the video up. What do we got here? So this is a Russian destroyer here. You can tell again that these must be a later thing than World War II because of all the stuff on them there, right? Like you just didn't have all that stuff in a World War II thing. So there's gonna be, like, that's 3D printed, and it's pretty good detail, isn't it? For making him as cheap as he is compared to what we have been paying for 3D printed units. Like you would think that the quality would be less, but these things don't seem to be less though. Lower quality, I mean. What else we got here? This one looks cool too. This is a Russian one. This is Kirov. No, there was a Kirov one that was the World War II piece as well. Like, was it the cruiser, I think? So this is probably a cruiser, but I don't think that this is a World War II cruiser. Like, for one thing, it's a lot bigger, right? So I think this is probably a more modern ship. What else we got? Yeah, so we got lots of Russian stuff. This is Kiev. That's their modern battleship. It's got the V shape on it there. So yeah. Now I don't know when these pieces he'll be putting these out. Some of them that you see are already out, and some of them are not out yet. What is this? So I don't think I need to take this one out of the thing here. That's a radar plane. It's an American one. That's F-82. That's the bottom of it there. F-82, it's a radar plane. This is a World War I piece, and you can buy these ones right now. So that's a A7V. It's a World War I piece. You can tell low technology, right? I mean, at the time though, you can imagine this big thing lumbering towards you before there was hardly any cars in the world at that point, right? And then all of a sudden one of these things starts to lumbering towards you. You might not even have seen a car in your life. And this thing, it would have seemed like a monster. And here's the World War One American Liberty truck. You can get these right now. These are pretty cool, actually. So it's an older version, right, of a transport truck. Pretty cool. Pretty nice sculpt. So I'll probably get a bunch of those myself. I like those ones. Most of these things I only have one of. What's this? This is a U.S. boat. The Ticonderoga. So there it is there. Obviously a more modern ship. Pretty nice sculpts though, compared to the World War II sculpts, eh? Lots of detail on them. You have to make sure to put them back in the bags, otherwise I'll never know what they are, right? I mean, the names are on the bottom, but I'll have to Google it to find out what country they're from. I'm not going to bother painting those ones yet until it comes time to start playing that game. That's not one of the ones that I'm playtesting. So that's an SR-71. That's the bottom of it there. Modern jet. This is probably from the 85. Could be from the 65 game. But anyway, some modern jets coming at you here. Here's another one. There's an F4. Much smaller than this one. Yeah, you can see the difference in size, right? And there's the bottom of the F4 right there. What else we got? An A6. Let's take this one out of the bag. So that's an American one as well. Most of these pieces are the Cold War pieces will be either either Russian or American, right? Some might be from other countries because there was more than 2 countries involved in that. Like for instance, this one piece here, this Leopard tank. This would have been a West German piece. You can buy these right now. These are actually really nice. Not something you can put in your World War II game, really, though. I mean, you could if you wanted to, but it wouldn't be very historical, right? So that's a Leopard tank, Leopard 1. That's a German tank from 65, I think. 1965. And what else we got? Well, there's another one of those F-82s. Another F4. Oh, there's a different one. A Harrier jet. Whenever I see a Harrier jet, it makes me think of there's an air show down in Vancouver. Actually, it's in Abbotsford. The Hilltop Pillbox is from Abbotsford. It's just outside of Vancouver, right? So it's a big air show. They have it every year. And a friend of mine was there back when Harrier jets were new and they were just British, right? Like you're used to thinking of a plane as taking off, you know, like and going fast and not stopping in midair, right? Not taking off vertically, right? So he's at a stoplight in Vancouver and like a big intersection, and this Harrier jet descends into this. I guess they were just some British guys that he thought they'd have a laugh at everybody, right? They descend down into this intersection, and everybody just stopped like all 4 directions, right? And he did a 360 really slowly all the way around, and then he slowly went up, and then boom, he was gone. He didn't know what the hell that was. So this is an American frigate. It says OHP, I think. Yeah, OHP. So another modern, more modern, I think anyway. I'll have to look that one up. but I think it's more modern than World War II. I'll have to look that up. I think that's all I've got here as far as 3D printed pieces. That's not all the beer I have, though. Let me just take a drink of this. Okay, so now if you want to keep up on what's going on with these games that are coming out this year and in future years, then go to Facebook. Each one has its own page. So there's the 1914 game, there's 1936, and there's 1965, and 1985, and I think there's an 1861. Anyway, each one of these has their own Facebook page, right? And what they're looking for is for input. If you want some input in how a game is designed, then there's your chance right there. Like, just leave a comment in there saying, hey, I read this or I heard that or whatever, and throw your idea in. It could be some kind of unit or whatever, right? While we're here, let's just zoom back out again. Let me just show you. I've got this set up on the board here. Let me just move these guys around. I moved some stuff in there. So here is the Axis split. Panzer King and I are going to start this tomorrow. So Robert tells me that this Axis split here is not something like, this is a setup that was in the East versus West handbook there, but he didn't mean for it to be in the handbook. He just wrote down what happened at the end of one of his games. So this was one of his games where the Axis had won, obviously. That's not supposed to be there. And this is just, like the Axis had won the game, obviously. The Japanese have Hawaii, and they're all the way up over here with a heavy tank and a bunch of other units right beside Moscow, right? Just outside of Moscow. And the Germans are in Moscow. And so what happens in this scenario here is that Germany and Italy are going to scrap it out with Japan there. And I think that the Russians joined the Japanese and the Italians, and I think that the rest of the Allies there are going to join the Japanese, and so that'll be the teams in this fight here. Look at Spain in here. Like, what is there? 4 different countries in there. That's going to be quite the shit mix in there, right? Fighting it out. So they must have had a pretty interesting game. But anyway, like, this is something that was intended to play with at the end of your game. Like, if the Axis had won the game and there were some certain conditions met, like Germany had these 3 cities and Japan had these 3 cities at the end of the game, then you could keep going and play this Axis split thing, right? But it wasn't meant as something where you could have this setup. But anyway, so this is just something that was kind of a bonus. The person that was writing up the rules just thought this was supposed to be included, and so this was included in the handbook, right? Anyway, I'm gonna pause this thing for a second, and I'm back. So yeah, like I said, Panzer King and I were gonna play this tomorrow. I might even start it tonight. I'll take a look at the turn order, and like, if there's a bunch of nations that go before one of the other guys do, then I can start it off, like, get a half a turn out of the way, maybe. I'm not sure. I don't know what the turn order is. I've been busy this week, lots of family things going on and stuff like that, so I haven't been able to get to it that much. But I did manage to do the setup. I've got that done. I just had the Japanese left this morning, but I do a little bit at a time, throughout the week, because I only had a couple minutes here and a couple minutes there to do that. And so hopefully I can get this done by next weekend, right? A game, and then that'll be another video out. And then there will only have to be the Operation Unthinkable after that, as far as the East versus West thing. But then there's another video that I want to do that's kind of related to that, and it came up on Facebook on the Axis and Allies page, one of the Axis and Allies pages. There's a couple of them there. Somebody was asking about rules for the atom bomb, right? And I never played the atom bomb before because to me the game is mostly a conventional game, right? And plus I didn't see any rules that I really liked until I played this East versus West expansion. I really liked the rules on this East versus West, and the guy that was talking about it was talking about for Axis and Allies, and I really think that you could adapt these rules to fit the Axis and Allies, the Global 40 game, right? And so I think I might take that on as a project at some point in the near future. Just put out a set of rules for Axis and Allies to play the with basically Robert's atom bomb rules. Now his were taken from the going nuclear expansion set from, but they're not, they don't follow exactly that. Like I read both of them, and I like Roberts are updated kind of thing, right? I really like those ones. And what I like too, and why I think it might be a good idea for Global 40 is that in Global 40, as you know, if you're a serious player, the Axis have a big advantage in that game, and so people are constantly coming up with little rules here and there, right? Like stopgap measures and things to try and make the game more balanced. I think if you were just to add that one rule, maybe, I don't know, I'm just spitballing here, but if you were just to add that one rule, then that might change that game, make it more balanced, because it's not something that you're going to be able to build in 1940, right? It's going to take a while to do it, but if anybody was going to do it, it would be the Americans, because of where the resources that you need to build it are. Like all of the resources exist in the United States. They exist in other places in the world, but they're spread out in the rest of the world. Like they're not all in Germany, right? They're not all in Russia. They're not all in anywhere, but America has them all. And plus America has a lot of money. And so if the Americans can get over and start dropping bombs on Berlin before Germany takes out Moscow, then that might help, and that might make something to shoot for, right? I stopped playing that game just for this very reason. I was so scripted, right? And so that would be just one more variable that you could add into that game. And also, this is something like I'll make the rules for Global War and for Robert's already made them for Global War, but I'll just put them out, right, for the regular 1936 setup, not the East versus West expansion, and for Global 40 as well, because I think they're a really good rule set, and I think that, like I said, I think that might be what you need to balance that game. If nothing else, you can try it and say, well, that was interesting. It doesn't cost a lot for the markers. You just go to the East versus West expansion set, and you can buy all those pieces separately, right? So there's a set of markers, and that's all you need to play it. Like I'm going to play with a lot of 3D printed pieces, but you don't need to do that. You just need the markers, and those are the ones that I showed you earlier, right? These markers. So there's your heavy water and your atom bomb. What else we got there? The nuclear reactor and uranium. Pull that one out of Belgian Congo. So that's something that I'd like to do. And what else? So what else is going on? I noticed Young Grasshopper has started a new series. He had disappeared for a little while there. He was going through some personal things, but he's coming back, and he's started from scratch again, doing Global 42nd edition, and that's good because he had taken down his content, as you know, last year sometime, which was a drag because, like, I've done the same kind of content, but mine was not like his. Like mine was really long videos and stuff. He's got a really easy way of explaining things, and so that people understand I learned much more about the game by watching his videos, and so I'm really glad that he's decided to start over again, like from scratch. He started with the unboxing, and I think he's up to the setup now, setting up the board, right? So he's not just going to start with, okay, this is what you do with Germany, right? Like he's starting in the very beginning, and it's a beginner series. It's for beginners, and that's good because you still see a lot of people that are just getting into the game and they're really excited about it, but they don't really know where to go to learn the game, and it's kind of intimidating to see one of my videos where like just the naval units or 2.5 hour video. Like he's saying, oh God, yeah, so I gotta watch the whole thing. And like with grasshoppers, their videos aren't as long, and he's got an easier way of explaining things than I do. All the information is there for both of them, but you just have to have more time when you're watching one of mine, right? So that's good. He's doing that, and GI Joe, he's been doing it for a while now. He's going through the bloodbath rules, so I can't remember what he's up to, like 9 or 10 or something like that episodes, teaching people the bloodbath rules, and those have been an evolving set of rules, right? They're not the same as they were a year ago. And so that's good that somebody's doing that. Sired, he's I talked to him recently. I called him at Christmas time and to wish him a Merry Christmas. And he's busier than hell right now, so he doesn't really have time to make those kind of videos, right? He's busy with other aspects of his life, and so I'm really glad that GI Joe has decided to take that project on and that he's doing that. What else? It seems like there's a lot of people that a lot of the YouTubers that were around for quite a while that are not doing much lately. Like my friend Rank Carcass there. I haven't seen a video from you, buddy. What are you doing? It's so, but a lot of those YouTubers, there's not many videos coming out. There's some new YouTubers to watch, like, sorry, my mind's just drawing a blank there. Something else raced through my mind. I need a drink of beer. That's what it is. Oh, okay, that feels better. Yeah, like Hambone. Hambone's got some really good videos coming out. He's just a new YouTuber, but that seems to be where it's at right now. Is with the new YouTubers, the old YouTubers. I can tell you that it's a lot of work to do this. The first few videos is easy, because you've got so much you can make videos out of. But it's when you've got 100 videos out or more that it starts to get harder and harder to come up with things to make videos out of, right? Like, what do I do now? What do I do next, right? To try to keep being fresh and keep putting out content that people want to see, right? But yeah, I've been liking Hambone's videos, and Pain State. If you like the game War Room, he's putting out some good videos on War Room, as well as my friend there, Moffat Field. He's putting out some really good videos on War Room as well. There's but like I said, most of the videos that are coming out now are from the new YouTubers. And so the old guys that it's like they had kids or something. I don't know. So I'm there's not much of those to watch. I've been watching other things. There's this Rated Red channel that a bunch of rednecks from the south. There's a cooking part and there's a construction part, and it's actually pretty funny. I learned how to build a lot of things. Yeah, there's that. I've been watching other types of game videos, like buying those games off of Hilltop Pillbox made me watch those videos, like to see those games, and that's kind of made me interested in other games, games that I didn't buy, right, that I'm looking at now and wondering where I'd have the time to learn that and everything, and thinking that maybe I should expand, maybe not do it on this channel, maybe get myself another channel and have it for other games, other than Axis and Allies and Global War, like other than historical board gaming like this, right? do it with ahistorical games like Scythe and things like that, right? Um, Games that don't really fit this genre, right? But are kind of games that I would like to play anyway, like war type of games. One of the one of the things that I can't seem to stop watching is this channel. Her name is Naomi, and she's got a channel called Sword and Steel. I'm going to leave a link in the description box below the video so you could check it out. It's like Warhammer, you know what I mean? So you got like dragons and shit like that, right? But she manages a store in St. John's, Newfoundland, out on the east coast of Canada there, a game store, right? And I wouldn't have given her a shout out, but she sells Axes and Allies too. I noticed, I looked on their website, right? So anyway, her and her friend Melody, they play games, right? Like a big, huge table, you know, with all kinds of stuff on it, right, and everything, and different kinds of creatures and everything. So she does painting tutorials and stuff like that. But what I found interesting about it, because there's a lot of those types of channels out there, right, was that these were women that were playing a war game, and they actually seemed knowledgeable about it, and they're having a lot of fun. Like that's why I can't stop watching, is because these women are having just a blast playing Warhammer. You know, like they're just get right into it and chucking dice and everything. It's fun to watch. And like she's got her own store, so I mean she's got all the toys, right? Like she doesn't just have a couple of minis that she takes to her friend's house, right? Like she's got everything. You know, something else comes out, I've got it, right? She just came out with a video today, and this thing is huge. I don't know what it's called, but it's like 3 feet tall by 3 feet wide. It's like a terrain feature, right? Looks like a castle of some kind. But anyway, she paints them all up and everything. And so check that out if you want. If you're not into that kind of game, if you just want to stick to the historical board games, then no problem. But if you want to watch women play board games, war games, then that's something that you can check out. I'm sure I'll watch some more of it myself. But anyway, there's that. So looking forward to 2020. Looking forward to the games that are coming out, especially 36 because it's so soon. And then the World War I game coming out. And looking forward to that event that we've got coming. So stay tuned to my channel for more information about that, if that's something that you might be interested in. Like I could see if you were from the Pacific Northwest or from Western Canada or something like that, because that is within driving range. I mean, it's a full day's drive, but it's also a really nice drive, right? Although at that time of year, bear in mind that we may or may not be done with winter yet. Like it could be 70 degrees out, or it could be minus 30. I don't know. Like March is hit and miss up here, right? So anyway, there's that. So I'll leave a link in the description box to the channel there, and I'm gonna drink my beer. Thanks, Richard. Oh, there was another prize I was gonna give away, right? So don't forget about the beer glass and the coaster set. What else? Here. This, I could spread them out, but then this video would go a lot longer. This is the Canada at War set. Now, the Canada at War set, we were lucky enough the first time we played it to have Joey here. He's the guy that invented it. So like we did, if we had a question, we just, hey, Joey. You know, that was kind of cool. Whenever we play the game, we always play this. Like it's just a no-brainer, right? It's just seamless. The rules and it feels right. It feels natural because Canada was a big part of the war. At least as big as Anzac, right? And so to have Anzac as its own nation and Canada is just, you know, one tan dude over in the corner there. That didn't seem right. So splitting it off and having Canada at War, like this is a must-have for Global War 1936 to 1945. If you're getting the version 3, then and you're winning this set off me, then you might want to wait until version 3 rules are out for the Canada at War, because that's definitely going to change. There's different territory names. Yeah, like Quebec's not going to be Labrador anymore. St. Pierre Island, that's yeah. So anyway, so leave a thing in the description box below the video, and just say you want to win a prize, okay? And I'll draw both prizes. I'm not sure which one you'll get, unless if you just say, look at, I really want the Canada War set, then I'll put your name in that one, right? Otherwise, there's 2 prizes to give away. There's the Canada War, and there's the beer mug and the coasters. So this is courtesy of Doug at historicalboardgaming.com, and the other one's from Richard at combatminiatures.com. And I'm General Hand Grenade from Prince George. Take care, everyone. General Hand Grenade out.